Baruch Hashem, it's already recording. Okay, so I think that matter here is extremely important for every single person that holds a gun, that is legal gun owner, that has gun license and holds a gun. Yeah, in modern times, back in the day, that would have been a sword or a bow or any kind of weapon, right? So, when are you allowed to use that? Like, obviously in self-defense, when some God forbid person, like if a guy or maybe in general just if another person gets at you, wants to do your family wants to harm you, your kids, or it's just a public threat for you. That's the common sense where you can use a gun. But there are also other cases. And I think that Mishnah is super important over here. So it's Mishnah Sanhedrin, Daf Ches, Pirkes, the 8th chapter, and the 7th lesson here. So I'm gonna read it in Hebrew and then the English translation with the interpolation here. ואילו הם שמצילים אותם בנפשן הרודף אחר חברו להרגו אחר הזכר ואחר הנערה המאורסה אבל הרודף אחר בהמה והמחלל עד השבס והעובד עבודה זרה אין מצילים אותם בנפשם. And these are the ones who are safe from transgressing even at the cost of their lives. That is to say that these people may be killed, so that they not perform a transgression. One who pursues another to kill him, or pursue a male to engage in homosexuality with him, or pursues a betrothed young woman to rape her, adultery. But with regard to one who pursues an animal to sodomize it, to bestiality, God forbid. It gets very disgusting here, so bear with me. One who seeks to desecrate Shabbos, that's something that pertains a lot to us Jews. If a non-Jew watches that, you can just ignore that aspect totally. One who's going to engage in idol worship, they are not saved at the cost of their lives. Rather, they are forewarned not to transgress, and if they proceed to transgress after having been forewarned, they are brought to trial, and if they are found guilty, they are executed. Alright, so let's just get quickly over it again. So when you see a person that's getting pursued, or that's when you see a person that points a gun at another person, when you see public threat, when people are dying, when you see terrorists, a terror attack, let's just say something like the Bondi Beach massacre, in Australia, right? Something like that. That's where you can pull out your gun and kill the perpetrators. Where it's a mitzvah, we've got to do that, honestly. That's the first, like, or if someone, God forbid, comes after you again, after your family or after yourself, with a knife or with a gun, or maybe even just with a knife or something, right? Just kind of on if that person is on his way to assault you with a knife or with a gun or anything, that's where you can pull your gun out and shoot and be totally exempt. You won't have. I personally think that a person that acts in self-defense won't have any nightmares whatsoever. There won't be any bad dreams of that incident at all. Because again, that's a godly thing to do. It's a mitzvah to protect your life. If again, if something like that happens, if your life is on the line, if another person attacks you, or also again, a medieval or a swine, a homosexual, for example, like if something very bad, like let's just say homosexual and it has Rahmul God forbid, has laid eyes upon you and is out there to engage in this terrible sin, right? That's also another case where you're absolutely allowed to pull out the gun, and it's better to kill that homosexual person who's right now having his last, so to speak, than to let this terrible act happen. And same also as someone when you, God forbid, see rapists. All right, so let's just say you're in a dark alleyway or something like that, and God forbid, I don't want any person to be in such a situation, right? Okay, that's something that I want to say right aloud right now. Okay, so God forbid, I don't want anyone to find him or herself in such a situation. But when you see something like that, that's where you're really allowed to make use of lethal force. lethal force is authorized in that kind of situation. And also the same when you see, yeah, okay, that's a bit disgusting, but okay, no, all right, okay, that's those three things that I've just mentioned. Those are the points. Those are the case where you can make use of lethal force. But then when you see something, well, similarly disgusting, like let's just say a crazy person goes after a dog, to engage in sin or in any kind of animal, something on a farm. Let's just say there's a non-Jew who's a farmer, and he is a bachelor, and God forbid he has terrible desires, and he goes after a cow, after a horse or something, and that's something that happens nowadays as well. The non-Jewish being like, I don't want to say every non-Jew is like that. I don't want to talk like that, but there has been case, unfortunately, where in some isolated farms or something, where some non-Jewish people, yeah, just couldn't help themselves to engage in that. So if you're a witness of that, um, you're not allowed to use this lethal force. It's very disgusting, but you gotta warn that person. The same, okay. Now that applies to Am Yisrael, to Jewish people. When you, God forbid, see a Jewish person that lights a cigarette on Shabbos, for example, or does any Mechilel Shabbos, something like, I don't know, starts driving a car, or starts doing things like that, you're obligated to tell him that he's not allowed to do that, but you're not to, God forbid, you're not allowed to use any force, lethal force for that matter. Yeah, no way, shape, or form should you use any lethal force, God forbid. That would be a sin, and from that you would get nightmares, and from that you would get punishment both in this world and the next one as well. Same with idol worship, and God forbid, I don't want to even talk about this terrible case. If a Jew falls off the Deirich, they're not saved at the cost of their lives. Okay, and I think that's something so super vital and important. I think every legal gun owner should have printed that, like every Jewish legal gun owner at the very least, should have printed that out and put it right next to the gun license, right? So it's super important to have that in mind, because in that short mission, you have the entire legal framework of that matter that pertains to some Israel. Yeah, just something so important. I kind of felt compelled to record this video for myself as well. God willing, other Eden will derive benefit from that. So yeah, all the best. Hashem Bye bye.